This is Gary Walsh. I'm calling the Joint Homeless Committee meeting to order here on August 11th at 12 p.m. 12:08 actually, but
okay.
Pledge allegiance is our next item.
That is correct. That's correct.
Hey, Tyler, would you lead us?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I don't have a flag, but
I don't either. So
I've got one.
We got red, white, and blue around. Yeah, it's good.
All right. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to
the republic
for which it stands,
and
one nation,
one nature,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all. Oh,
okay.
Okay, the next item is our roll call, and I will take care of that. Subcommittee member Bowden.
Here.
Subcommittee member Leffler.
Here.
Vice Chair Ewing.
here.
And Chair Walsh.
Here.
All right. The next item is our special orders of business, special presentations, and we have none on this agenda. The next item is the approval of the minutes from the June 9th, 2021 special meeting of the Joint Homeless Subcommittee.
To approve the minutes of the June 9th meeting.
Well, I'd like, can I have some discussion before we approve them?
Yeah.
Is that,
Yes, go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
could you read what you submitted as far as comments made by specifically me or Gary, made by us during that meeting regarding I think specifically the disbanding of the homeless subcommittee? What did you write in there, Adam, to submit to the city council as under the minutes?
I can tell you what staff wrote. This I did not. We have administrative assistants that will put the minutes together. Let me open them up real quick here.
Hey, Adam, who is it on the staff that did that?
That was Lisa Acosta.
Okay.
And minutes are the city does action minutes, which is really just a recording of actions taken, and we try to describe what was done. If there's additional detail that you would like, there it is. Okay, if there's additional detail you would like added, we're more than happy to do that. What we attempt to do is not we're trying to summarize statements without providing unintended or additional context to them. So we're trying to stick to a summary, but we're more than happy to add additional language. So I believe you're referring to, in the minutes, item 10, reports of committee members and staff. The first portion of that says Chair Walsh expressed his opinion in regards to city policies and protocol and the disbanding of the Joint Homeless Subcommittee. Committee member Leffler expressed his opinion in regards to the disbanding of the Joint Homeless Subcommittee. Committee member Bowden stated that City Council should be more involved and take an interest in the productive work of the commissions and committees are providing to the city rather than being for optics. And then it goes on to my introduction of Carly Hunter. And then let's see, at the last, yeah, so those were the sections that summarized that comments were made about the disbanding of the Joint Homeless Subcommittee.
Okay, well, since I'm the one that asked, I can send you this if you want. I can type you out a real quick note, but I'd like to have mine more, just a little more specific and briefly it'd be that I was disappointed both in the removal of the public safety component from future homeless committees and the lack of communication between the council and the joint homeless subcommittee specifically. If we could get a wording like that in there, I'd just like to have that on record.
Yeah, we will add what you just said.
Okay.
To the sentence or the section discussing your comments. And if any other committee members would like their comments adjusted as well, let me know. And all you have to do is just say what language you would like added. We will revise the minutes to reflect that. Then when the motion is made, the motion just needs to say the approval of the minutes with the changes requested by the particular committee members.
Right. I know for me, I spoke for probably a good 20 minutes, and it was more than just my opinion on what it was. There were specific points that were made. So are you suggesting that I can send those to you and then those will be adjusted in there?
It would be preferable if you identified specifically the points that you would like reflected in the minutes.
Well, I'm asking you if you want me to send those to you, or are you telling me I have to do this now?
It would have to be now because
It would have to be now.
Okay. Then one of my points was that the process for the committees seems like a process that sets you up to handcuff you and mute your voice to the city council. That being the work plan is often ambiguous language, and often after the work plan is approved with very little guidance on the work plans and what is expected, then the work plan, everything in the work plan gets, as you try to do it, staff tells you, oh, that's not in your work plan, or that doesn't cover in your work plan. So you're constantly bouncing back and forth, although they don't give you any real guidance onto what they wanted in the work plan. I.e., they set up committees and then they just throw you out there and say, create a work plan. But nobody ever calls you in to go over what their vision is for the committee, how it should work, what's already going on. So the committees come in pretty blind, and then you're handcuffed by the Brown Act, and you can only meet once a month. You can't really get together. You can't discuss things. So it really seems like a system set up for inaction and more for just a, as Tyler said, an optic that you have citizen committees.
Okay, since you're the chair, what I can tell you is we will summarize those points. Once the committee approves the minutes, I'd be comfortable with sending you the draft. And if there's I think it, based on the description you just gave, if there's any changes that you'd want to make, they wouldn't be substantive to the points that you just made, but they would be more grammatical changes in how we present those ideas. So at that time, you could kind of wordsmith it a little bit, but staff will take what you just said and put that in to the document. And then as a chair, you'll have one more opportunity to just make sure that we wrote it correctly. But for the committee's approval of these minutes, I think it's clear what you've requested to be included.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and move to approve the minutes with the revisions that were just stated by committee members.
I'll second that.
Okay, that's a motion by committee member Bowden, second by Vice Chair Ewing. Since we can't see everybody, I will do a roll call. Subcommittee member Bowden,
Aye.
Subcommittee member Leffler,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ewing,
Aye.
and Chair Walsh.
Aye.
Okay. Let's see, the next item. Okay, the next item is oral and written communications. I have not received any written communications for this meeting, but I did receive some oral communications from they were intended to be read at the last meeting, and I will find those right now. Okay. The last meeting did not have a quorum, so we were not able to read those into that meeting. But let's see. The first communication comes from Maura Mikulek of Capistrano Beach, and she writes, "Hello, dedicated committee members. I want to make you aware of a couple things significantly relevant to your work. Firstly, a little bit of background, some of which you may know. Service providers with county funds have had some San Clemente residents who are experiencing homelessness in motels. People have been in motels through programs known as Project Room Key and Project Tool Belt for over a year. Additionally, in mid-May, more people were provided with motel rooms as they were offered another housing opportunity called Rapid Rehousing, which takes some time to implement. Last week, the people who were in motels since mid-May, and at least one who had been in a motel for over a year, were told their time in the motel was up. I know this put at least 3 senior gentlemen, another gentleman with significant health problems, and a woman back on the street. Also, last week, over 20 people were threatened with eviction from a state property in South San Clemente where they have camped. We were able to get the state to postpone the eviction to allow the city and county time to offer alternatives to these San Clemente residents, but the eviction is expected to go forward in 2 to 4 weeks. I hope you will join me, the South County Homeless Task Force, and the San Clemente Affordable Housing Coalition in demanding that the city take responsibilities for these unhoused residents recently and about to be displaced. While there are countless other needy people on the streets still in need of emergency shelter and permanent affordable housing, at this moment we have a new crisis and need to see the city take responsibility for providing emergency motel shelter for these approximately 30 people until they are provided with stable permanent housing. Our task force and coalition will join concerned residents, this committee, and the city in calling on the county to step up and provide all needed resources for the city of San Clemente to take care of our houseless neighbors. Please get in touch with me if you would like, as a committee or as individuals, to join us in our efforts. I know a couple of you have my contact info. The second and last communication comes from Jackie Tranny of San Clemente. She says, "Hello, committee members. Thank you for continuing to meet and for the dedication with which you approach your tasks. I am a 24-year San Clemente homeowner, a member of a number of homeless advocacy organizations. For the past 18 months, I have been assisting a specific 59-year-old woman experiencing homelessness in San Clemente. I have learned a great deal from this, as well as from the information available from government, media, and advocacy groups. I want to share what I see as the, quote, fatal flaw, end quote, in our approach to homelessness, i.e., the need far exceeds the available resources. The vast majority of those experiencing homelessness fail to receive promised services in any effective or consistent manner. There is more funding available now than in recent years. It is enough to make some progress on developing housing for this segment of our population. Getting the funding requires the San Clemente City Council to apply for available funds and ask nonprofit housing developers to partner with us. Your committee can help educate our citizens and our council members to support these moves. Here's what I've learned and observed. A fatal flaw stymies solution to homelessness. 1, outreach by city, county, and nonprofit service providers. 2, compliant and still hopeful person experiencing homelessness attends meetings with outreach workers, gathers necessary paperwork, and completes invasive forms. 3, vulnerability assessment is submitted to county bureaucracy. 4, coordinated entry system and continuum of care prioritize applicants based on vulnerability scores. A very small percentage who are the most vulnerable are awarded some type of housing assistance voucher. Others' names remain in the bureaucratic system for years. One woman's name was accidentally dropped from the list and had to be resubmitted 2 years later. This apparently had something to do with staff turnover, poor communication, and lack of proper computer tracking. After additional years of waiting, she has a certificate and is in the process of trying to find a place to rent. 5, housing navigators sometimes provide referral lists of approved affordable housing units, which accept tenants using vouchers or certificates. Sometimes no referral lists are given. Is this because the navigators are aware that most housing on the referral list is full with years-long, even closed waiting lists? 6, no match is made. Fatal flaw equals demand far exceeds supply. My experience, even with a voucher of some sort, is it is up to the individual experiencing homelessness to find a landlord who is willing to rent to them. Case managers and housing navigators appear overwhelmed by the number of clients whom they are assigned to help. This is frequent staff turnover. The staff did not even reveal the budget parameters to the individual who is searching for a unit. Thus, the already highly vulnerable individual is subjected to even more stress from confusion and uncertainty. Advocates are often needed to help with internet searches, phone calls, and transportation to facilitate the search. Sometimes vouchers expire before a place is found. Without a special extension, become a lost opportunity. The individual who is unhoused is then back where they started. Without enough available very low and low-income housing, nor enough money for additional vouchers, most individuals remain on the street or return to it from their, quote, transitional shelter, end quote. This experience can leave them even more demoralized and less willing to believe in outreach in the future. A vicious cycle of frustration is perpetuated for people who are unhoused and the service providers who work with them. Please use your influence to educate the council and the citizens of San Clemente to these realities in order to build support for the San Clemente City Council to apply for funding and create partnerships with nonprofit affordable housing developers. Encouraging landlords to accept tenants with vouchers and certificates is also needed. Thank you, Jackie Traney. And that is all I have for the written communications for this meeting.
Can I ask you a question, Adam?
Yes.
I'm just curious on that project room key. So there's times when whoever provides that funding for that room key, that there's people stay in motel rooms for up to a year on that program. Is that what I heard?
You know, I can't speak to it as an expert on it, but I have heard similar discussions that yes, up to a year that program can last.
Okay, thanks. I thought it was like a short-term thing. I didn't realize it could go on that long. That's got to be expensive.
Adam, I have a question too. What these letters seem to require that we pass them on to somebody, but I'm not sure who to pass them on to, since are we officially debunked as of today, is this our last day, or do we go to August 31st, or should we just refer these two letters, which I think are important, to the city council, or should we just ignore them? I mean, as of today, we're gone, so.
Well, so to answer your questions, like all submitted oral or written communications, they're technically just added to the city's record, this meeting being part of that record. If the committee would like these letters forwarded to the city council or to the Human Affairs Committee, staff is more than happy to do that on your behalf. The term for the Joint Homeless Subcommittee ends on August 31st.
Yeah, that's what I was suggest is that you make sure that the city council members get copies of these, because I think they both, mentioned the city council in them also. And then also I would forward them to the new Human Affairs Committee, because they are going to have a homeless component in their committee. So that'll just, they can continue this conversation with those two individuals. I'm sure they will. And I think that would be helpful for the Human Affairs Committee.
Yes, and there on this topic, and I was planning to speak a little bit to it in our unfinished business on information gathering and presentation, but the videos and the documents that were created by the Joint Homeless Subcommittee are not. We're not going to just erase them from the city's files. The goal was to have them placed in basically a subfolder of the Human Affairs Committee as in a similar way that when the city's previous public safety task force did a lot of work and then was disbanded for a period of time, after which the Public Safety Committee was created. We took all of the Public Safety Task Force information and put it on the Public Safety's webpage and informed the committee members about that, so that they had easy access to find work and discussions that have already transpired about that particular subject matter. And so that this record will be something made available to the Human Affairs Committee as part of our video library. However, I'm more than happy to forward these two letters to the Human Affairs Committee directly. And I think that would be the logical place to forward them to. If you would like them forwarded to the council, staff would be fine doing that as well.
Yeah, I think they should be forwarded to both. Now, the Human Affairs Committee tried to meet yesterday and didn't have a quorum. And I understand they tried to find at least two people with homeless backgrounds. I'm not sure exactly what that means. But are we to assume then that ongoing homeless activities will be delegated to the Human Affairs Committee? Is that what we're to understand? They're going to take over whatever role we had.
Yeah, essentially, yes. That doesn't mean that they will be the only group that is looking into solutions and opportunities to address homelessness. The Public Safety Committee, their work plan still does include things specific to homelessness. The City Council, of course, is going to be involved. But I do think the majority of the investigation into overall strategies or solutions would probably fall into the Human Affairs Committee.
Yeah, I would agree with passing those letters on, and I think one of them is kind of speaks to the problem in a more systemic way, and another looks at kind of an urgent matter that's pressing now. kind of happening now with the Caltrans eviction. And so my only question is, Adam, is do you have any plan of providing an update about what the coordination efforts are looking like between the city and the county and Caltrans with that eviction proceeding, or is there anything that you could speak to on that now or later in the meeting or something?
Yeah, I can, and maybe I can provide that during the reports of committee and staff.
Cool, thanks.
So I've heard from two committee members about the forwarding of the letters. If nobody else has anything to add to that, then I will just announce that we will forward those letters to the City Council and the Human Affairs Committee. And then just one note on that, the Human Affairs Committee, I think all but one of their members is new. So we will make those letters available to the new Human Affairs Committee members that are starting September 1st as well.
I think they're all new, yeah.
They're all new, okay. Yeah, and then Bill, just an FYI, I believe I will be, Janet will be unavailable for the next Human Affairs Committee special meeting that is being looked into now. Most likely I would fill in for her for that meeting. So we'll be able to discuss this transition with the existing Human Affairs Committee and just alert the public to that change as well. Okay, under reviews and recommendations, we have nothing. There is no new business at this meeting, which takes us to unfinished business. Item A is information gathering and presentation.
Yeah, I could speak to that. So, really just in an effort to provide some value in this process and put together something that could be passed along to the incoming Human Affairs Committee and really whomever is interested in it at all. We've just been working on putting together a document that contains the descriptions of some of the different organizations that we've researched over this span of time. And so I don't know if that's how that's going to be made available or whatnot, but we basically had OC Links, BeWell OC, and FAM. Rick put together one for the Behavioral Health Bureau with OCSD, which is very helpful. And then Adam, I know you put together one for code compliance and park rangers, as well as Carly Hunter's role. So I think it's a useful document. I don't know how we should propose or present it or what, but it's kind of the completion of what Rick and I have been working on and Adam. So thank you both for your efforts on that.
Yeah, I emailed that component, the OCSD. I emailed that document to Adam. I don't know if you got that yet.
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
I have to apologize. I saw an email from you this morning. I have not had a chance to open it.
Okay, well that's got my document on the OCSD behavioral unit, and so yeah, I guess Tyler gets you the documents that he has, and then you'll somehow compile them into something that you can pass on. Is that what's going to happen?
So on this item, this would be a document that would be provided to the Human Affairs Committee. It also is a good overview of various aspects of what the city's doing to address homelessness and kind of some of the key actors that are involved in it. If this is information that the committee would like to have on the provided on the website, staff would be more than happy to do that. There's a few I'll say there's a few locations where homelessness is discussed on the city's website. Staff's goal would be to centralize information as much as possible. And right now that centralized place has become the city's webpage at san-clemente.org/homeless. And the way you'd find it, clicking around on the city's webpage, it would be to go under city news, and there's a homeless resources subcategory there, and that's where that page is located. It has an overview of our community outreach worker. Right now it's limited to the community outreach worker position, her contact information, and then it's got some links to some other resources around the county, but it doesn't provide the information that this document does. And so it would make sense to provide some more of this information, since the title of the page is actually homeless resources.
Okay, yeah, wherever you just think, I mean, it should go to the Human Affairs Committee for sure, because it's our continuing work from our work plan. And wherever else you think it should go, I'll defer to you. But I also want to make sure, I'd like to validate to the city council that we actually did work on our work plan and have something substantive come out of it.
Absolutely. I know this is the last meeting, but we can, during maybe a homeless update, I can let the council know some of these specific items that are either being, information being transferred to the Human Affairs Committee for their continuation, or things that have actually, that the committee's done.
Yeah, I think that would be great if you could, at a city council update that, we are being, obviously it's being folded back into the Human Affairs, but if you could make a couple of comments on what our work plan was and what we did accomplish on there, I think that would be great.
Absolutely.
And the only other thing I would add, and it kind of speaks to Rick and my other item on the work plan, which was, I think, communication and coordination, which was really centered around having a registry. And in our research found that document had already been created. And I know, Adam, you presented that at the last council meeting, which was great. And so, just maybe if we could include that document specifically along with this information gathering and presentation document to the incoming Human Affairs Committee, just for their reference. I think those two documents are pretty good source documents, as well as the homeless resources page for them to kind of get started in their work. So that's all I've got, and it's been a pleasure working with all of you.
I think Bill's been trying to make a comment. Or
it wasn't me.
Gary. Bill, was that you?
I think
No,
it's
it was
Leo.
Gary.
Leo trying to
Okay,
make a
Gary.
comment.
I can't see either one of you.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing more for information gathering and presentation, the next item is communication and coordination. Subcommittee member Bowden, you touched on that a little bit. If you have more to add, please do.
Yeah, nothing more to add on that. I think that, in our research found that existing document was really well-rounded. The only thing that I found that wasn't on there, well, two things, I guess, was OC links and Be Well. And so, if there's any interest in the future of revising the document to include those, I think those have become bigger players since that document was created, but, or maybe Carly's contact on that document too. But yeah, that's, the document's pretty good. So just kind of continuing on the awareness of the document, and then maybe updating in the future if the incoming Human Affairs Committee or the council decides.
Okay. The next item under unfinished business is best practices.
Yeah, I'll speak a little bit to that. I have to say it's a kick in the teeth when they vote to eliminate your committee, and it didn't seem like they really wanted to hear what the best practices were going to be. So, but I would recommend, one of my suggestions would be a plan. It would be good if the city had a defined strategic plan for the mitigation of homelessness and what they plan to do. Because right now it's just helter skelter. We hire this person, we do this, we said that. One city council member is advocating one thing, another one's advocating something else. It's scattered all over. And you have people, citizens that are advocating things. So there doesn't seem to be a cohesive plan. That would be a good start.
I agree with Gary completely. It seems like there's a lot of things, most of the things that the city and the city council does, they have a strategic plan and they try to accomplish it. And as important as homelessness is, even if it's something that's kind of vague and ambiguous, at least to have something, bullet points or something that they plan on accomplishing every quarter, if not every year. And hiring a homeless outreach person was a good plan, and they did accomplish that, but that's not the whole strategic plan for the city. So I would agree completely. That is a great recommendation.
Anybody else?
No, in terms of best practices, there was something that the Human Affairs Committee had approved in terms of a plan for the homeless, and that was a couple of years ago now, at least, that was approved by that committee. And our committee really never had a chance to get into the details of that kind of three-step process. But it's just clear to me that there's no place really to pass on. I mean, there's no statement as to why our committee was terminated. And then there's no compelling statement as to where the work that we've done is going to be carried on. It certainly is not going to be the Human Affairs Committee. There's nobody on the committee who can do that now that Tyler and I are gone from it. So I just worry that in the absence of any accountability, there's nothing with regard to homeless. And I would like to support the idea of putting together a real strategic plan that the whole council would approve of and get behind, so that we're not directed in four different directions, because it's just not going to happen. And the four of us, the four of us have had a heart for the homeless problem and the people, and it just needs to be carried on somewhere. I just feel this is getting in the hands of the politicians, and then they're looking for somebody to be a scapegoat, and we're not going to be in that category.
I could just add one more thing on that. It's maybe kind of hard to identify exactly what the source of the formation of this committee was, but perhaps part of it was a discussion about, in a way, trying to mimic what Dana Point had done in their city with putting together I believe it was called a community work plan on homelessness. And so I think that document's pretty useful as a guide, maybe for the incoming Human Affairs Committee to look at. In a way, this information and gathering and presentation document is somewhat likened to that, because that document starts off with descriptions of stakeholders involved in the process or involved in the issue. And then it actually goes on to lay out sort of a strategic plan that Dana Point had. And I don't know exactly how they followed up on that document per se, but I think it's a useful document as a guide, potentially for the incoming Human Affairs Committee or the council. So worth looking at least, worth being aware of at least. So just want to say that.
Okay, if there's nothing else on that item, the next one is the overall homeless strategy. It's pretty similar to what you were just talking about. So,
Yeah.
but I do want to, if there are any additional comments for that work plan item, please go.
Yeah, I would recommend a short-term plan. That is like a 3-month plan, a 6-month plan, a year plan, 5-year plan, and a 10-year plan. Should all just follow right in and build on each other. But it's pretty obvious we need an immediate plan, something that 3 months from now we can look at and say, okay, we already did this, we got that, we've accomplished this. Because it's obvious by the homeless encampment south that something's going to have to be done with those folks. There's other folks down there that they're not even counting. They're just counting that one little group right in there. But I can tell you, if you walk any of the little side trails, go on San Mateo, walk any of the little side trails, you'll find more encampments all along there. They're well hidden. You just have to walk back in there. You go down into the Trestles wetlands, you'll find them down in there. There's more down in there for sure. And all they're gonna do is move them out of that particular location right along Caltrans is. And once they get over into the state areas, Caltrans washes their hands of them and says, we're done. So it's not like we're getting rid of them just because Caltrans is pushing them out of that little spot along the freeway.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I will have a report on this particular topic in our next section. Is there anything else under unfinished business the subcommittee would like to discuss? All right, seeing and hearing none. Chair Walsh, I'll turn over the reports of committee members and staff to you.
I don't have anything further.
No, I don't either.
Well, I'll add that you know, I was very impressed with the group that we put together, or that was put together to address the homeless crisis in the city. I think it was a great idea to have a couple of members from Human Affairs and a couple of members from Public Safety. I think that was a great idea. When Dan Bain formulated it, you know, when Dan left, somehow the importance of it got somehow put aside, but I think it was a great strategy. I think we put together a really good work plan, and I think if we were allowed to work on that work plan as we submitted it, instead of having it bifurcated and watered down, I think we would have addressed a lot of the things that Gary alluded to in having an overall plan. And so I think it was a mistake that that work plan was diluted. I think we'd be farther along in the process. I really appreciate the communication among the members. I think we worked well together. I know there was, although what came to fruition is going to be a few pages of paper, but it's not in any way going to represent the amount of work that everybody put in over the last several months. I want to thank staff too. I think staff did a great job, Adam, specifically of keeping us moving along and trying to overcome some of the issues that we have. I'd also like to, at this point, acknowledge that Adam has received a promotion in the city. He's now not only, I hope he's going to continue on with public safety, but now he's taking a bigger role back in the planning department, where I'll have the pleasure of working with my lovely wife in the planning commission there. And so I don't know. I have a feeling this promotion is just going to add to the things he does on his business card, and you know, they're double dipping into Adam. But I appreciate that he's taking the time and the effort to continue his work, not only in our side of it, but also in the planning commission. So a job well deserved. I hope it's well appreciated. So anyway, that's all I've got to say. I hope we run into each other along the way here. I know Gary is still tremendously passionate about the homeless crisis in our city, and and I'm hoping that he stays involved. And I will commit myself right now to time and energy if he wants to continue the process of trying to improve our situation in the city regarding homelessness. I'll be right there to help at anything he needs to do. And with that, I'd just like to say thanks a lot. I think it's been a great pleasure and an honor to work with you all.
Yeah, I can echo that. Thanks, Rick. It's really been a pleasure working with you and Gary and Bill and Adam. And thank you all for your time and efforts. And it's been 3 years that I've been on the Human Affairs Committee now, and it's been a ride. And with this issue in particular, it's a really challenging issue. So it's easy to feel that your efforts are for naught. But in really considering this deeply, I don't think that it's necessarily for naught. It may feel like it, but it's chipping away at a problem that is a really, really big problem that's much, much bigger than San Clemente or even California. So I think that our efforts have made progress on this issue, and I think with the hiring of Carly, it's really going to help San Clemente to step in the right direction with this issue. And it's been chipping away. For me, it started off with working with some council members, put on a town hall meeting just to educate people about homelessness, which I think we've come a long way since even that point. That was a couple years ago. So it's been a joy to be working on this, and I'm transitioning over into other things. But as Rick said, I'm actually kind of pumped to help out and support the incoming Human Affairs Committee with their efforts to just try to push the buck forward on the issue and put together something that the residents of San Clemente can get behind as we try to address this issue and make it a better situation for our residents and our homeless neighbors in San Clemente. So thank you all for your time, and looking forward to staying tuned.
Good. Well, I would echo all these other statements and indicate that I think I've made a few new friends here as part of this committee, and I do appreciate everybody's efforts, and Rick and Gary especially, to get to know you guys. And I think you're doing a great job here representing the committee. I just would hope that the four of us would use whatever influence we have to get the council together to just make a real strong effort to develop a strategic plan. They're avoiding it like the plague, and it just needs to be understood that there's people here whose livelihood and ongoing ability just to live are being threatened, and we need to take this really very seriously and not consider it to be football to be kicked down the road here. But so let's use our influence to try to get them to do something. I think there is a group that's formed behind us somewhere or other, and that might be something that the city would like to consider handing off what you gave to us to do, whatever that was. But I want to tell you, I'm just terribly disappointed in the way the city disbanded our group and really handled administratively this whole operation from the very beginning. So I think I've worked with about 35 or 40 cities in my career, in counties and even state governments, and never quite seen anything like the disarray that's represented here in San Clemente. I hope we can get behind that and get some good people elected to council that can get that thing straightened out. So that's kind of negative. I don't want to end on that note, but I just want to say that it's been a pleasure working with three of you, and leave it at that, I guess. So back to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't, because I don't have the minutes and all that sitting in front of me. I didn't realize we were hitting that end here. But I agree with all of you that it's been a tremendous pleasure working with you guys. And, although I don't think any of us are satisfied the way it ended, I think all of us can be proud of things that we were able to do and some awareness that we were able to bring to this. And like Rick hinted, I'm not done with this. And I'll reveal that in a different form. But the citizens of San Clemente do need a voice in how we handle the homeless. We have some advocacy groups, and I believe those advocacy groups are dedicated and they're compassionate, but I'm not sure that they completely represent the citizens of San Clemente. We will continue coming forward on a lot of the issues here. There's things that can be done. There's other cities that have very successful programs. There's some cities that have disastrous programs. So with that, I thank all of you, and you guys are tremendous. And I hope to cross paths with all of you again soon.
Okay, bravo.
Okay, so I believe that leaves me. So first, I would like to change subjects and answer some questions about the encampments down off of Christianitos that are located in the county of San Diego, in the on Caltrans property. So we are aware of these encampments, and we have been for quite some time. While city staff does not have jurisdiction to go down to those encampments and provide outreach or any type of enforcement at that location, those individuals do come into San Clemente for services rather frequently. So we are aware of who the individuals are, and we have been in contact with them. As it relates specifically to what District 11 Caltrans is doing as far as the eviction is concerned, there have been efforts by the, I believe both counties, but at least the County of Orange Healthcare Agency to make contact and do some outreach with them before the eviction takes place, since it's anticipated that the relocation of most of these individuals would be back into Orange County, not south into San Diego County. As part of those outreach efforts, our community outreach worker and I know our behavioral health officers from the Orange County Sheriff's Department are also involved. We have had a number of meetings with those individuals that allowed us to do some intake interviews and try to get them matched to services. We are continuing with those efforts, and we're hoping that by the time the eviction takes place, there will be some opportunities to shelter individuals. But that eviction, I believe, is still about 2 or 3 weeks away. So we've got a little bit of time, but that's what the city's doing currently with that group. As far as other comments, and these would be my final comments for the.
Hey, Adam,
yes.
Could I ask a few questions about the encampment efforts?
Sure. Oh yeah, please
Okay.
do.
Yeah. One, how many individuals were contacted?
I believe we've made contact with 12 to 13.
Okay. And how many of those have accepted services to be placed in someplace?
I don't think any of them have accepted services as far as housing goes, because there are no housing. There's no shelters available at this time. There are people who have expressed interest in housing, and then what we're trying to do is connect them to services that they can accept.
Right. Okay. That's I just wondered in the numbers.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on that before I move on? Seeing and hearing none. So I want to thank each subcommittee member for their time over the last year. I understand that there's frustration about how the Joint Homeless Subcommittee ended, but on behalf of staff, I do want to thank everybody for their time and tremendous effort in working on this issue. Leaving this with an opportunity for future involvement. I would say that, the Joint Homeless Subcommittee members are really poised to have a significant voice in the future work of the city, specifically the Human Affairs Committee's work plan coming up. You all went through the process of developing a work plan, and in the review of that work plan by the city council, as interested members of the city, or as taking part in other committees or commissions in the future, everybody still has the ability to weigh in on the review of the work plan when it is presented to the city council. The work plans are something that has become relatively new. So the city does not have a long track record of going through an annual work plan review process. And so there's always a learning curve with things like that. Well, the way to I hate to say flatten the curve, but the way to do that is to impart your experience and wisdom that you gained through the last process of that work plan review. And so when the city council is reviewing this work plan coming up, that would be a really good time to make a positive impact to ensure that the work that you've done is contemplated and continued through that work plan, and by submitting comments on those work plans when they are up for review by the council, I think would be incredibly valuable. So I would invite everybody to do that. And as Rick mentioned, I have received a promotion to Deputy Community Development Director. And so I will be maintaining my oversight of the Code Compliance Division, the Park Rangers, and the Homeless Outreach Coordinator position, while also taking over managerial duties of the Planning Division. Ultimately, I see this as a very positive impact, especially when it comes to homelessness. Planning, we're one of the bigger projects in planning right now is the housing update, and that relates to the provision of affordable housing in the city. And there are similar planning projects that in a long range planning perspective attempt to deal with social service impacts or issues within the community, and so. Working to coordinate our long-term strategies with our short-term enforcement and outreach, I think ultimately will have a very positive impact on this. And on that, I can say that in the future, should anybody have any questions or comments or concerns about any of these homeless-related impacts or issues, I invite not only the subcommittee members but the public to contact me directly. I'd be more than happy to help you, and I can assure everybody that the work of addressing homelessness does not end here. It's simply being shifted elsewhere. So on that note, I will end my report, and the last item on the agenda then is the adjournment.
I move the meeting be adjourned.
Second.
Okay. Subcommittee member Bowden.
Aye.
Subcommittee member Leffler.
Aye.
Vice Chair Ewing.
Aye.
And Chair Walsh.
And I bid all of you a fond adieu and thank you all again.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Hey,
Thank
brother.
you all.
Bye-bye.
All right.